Welcome to this video on project cycle management. In this video, we will look at the logical framework matrix, or as it is more commonly referred to, the log frame. The log frame itself is a document which contains all the various aspects of a project. It is derived from the previous analysis, specifically the objective tree. Here is an example of an objective tree. We can see that various aspects have been identified, such as drivers, buses, roads, which refer to different causes which can produce the changes that are necessary in the project. At the different levels in this tree or hierarchy, a project can be developed. The lower down the tree, the smaller the project, but the less the impact. Conversely, the higher up the tree we take our project, the more complex and demanding the project will be, but the expectation is higher that the impact will serve more purpose. The log frame itself is derived from where you start in the objective tree. In this case, if we have a look at the yellow box, the intention to reduce the number of bus accidents, this would be the key outcome of a project. Immediately below that, we have different outputs, which are the things that are delivered through the activities of the project. And at the high end, the impact is the changes that we hope will occur if the project is successful. In order to complete a log frame, it is usual to follow a logical process, hence the name logical framework. It starts by looking at the impact level, and these, as we see, can be derived from the objective tree. Essentially, all of those objectives which lie above the main project outcome will be influenced by the project, and their impact can happen several years in the future. The impact is the big feature of a project. It determines the rationale, the why, and the long-term purpose that the project is going to deliver. In order to do that, of course, we need to have an outcome. And the outcome represents the main changes that will come about once all project activities have been completed appropriately and successfully. But it also includes some external factors which are beyond the control of the project itself, which, as you know, we refer to as assumptions. But in order to have an outcome, you have to have an output. And the output in this case is the actual deliverable or change that will take place following activities. So when preparing the activity levels, it must be clearly understood that all the activities necessary to produce the desired output need to be included in the log frame. The activities are what will be paid for through the project. Whether this is research, whether it's a technical drawing, whether it's the building of an item, the activities are what most people think of when they think of a project. It is what the project does. In terms of the logic, activities will produce outputs. If these are done properly, the output will be at the appropriate quality. The various outputs of different project activities, combined with some external factors, will deliver the outcome or the big change that is necessary. These outcomes will influence or have some contribution towards the long-term impact. We often refer to these activities, outputs, and outcomes as a result chain. And the combination of different result chains in a project provides a contribution to the impact. Once these first 4 items have been completed, we should consider the external factors. those things which are beyond the control of the project, but which will support the project outputs and outcomes. Initially, some things may have to happen before the project can even commence activities. These are called preconditions. And at every other level of the log frame, there could be external factors that need to be considered. So when the project log frame is being put together, thought has to be given to these external factors, because what we are presenting in the log frame is the complete picture as to how this project can have the desired impact and what else needs to happen. But considering the external assumptions, we have to apply another degree of logic. And this algorithm helps us to do that. It is necessary to think of each of these external factors one at a time. Consider whether it is actually necessary for the project, whether we understand that something will or will not happen, if it's likely to happen, and if it doesn't happen, is there anything we can do about it? An assumption which is unlikely to happen could be the result of a failed project. So these assumptions have to be consistent with the overall needs of the project. They have to be consistent with the deliverables of the project, and it has to be something that can be monitored effectively. The next phase is completing the validation. And by this, what we mean is that at each of the levels, impact, outcome, and outputs, we need to have indicators, things that we will measure the performance against. These indicators are the proof that something has happened. And they also serve as a guide to monitoring project activities and deliverables, and is the basis for reporting on the success of the project. But they need to be objectively verifiable. This means that there should be replicable results if somebody else was looking to validate the project outputs, outcomes, or even activities. It is useful to use some smart approach when thinking about these issues, and certainly the purpose of an objectively verifiable indicator is to ensure that the indicators are valid, that they are measurable, that they are consistent over time, and so are a genuine comparator. It should, of course, be understood that the more complexity we introduce in these indicators, it is likely to increase costs. And how and what we measure should be thought of at the project design stage and not left until later, because some of these may require additional activities by the project team. So, the sequence of completing the log frame looks like this. And the final two items, noted here 15 and 16, are at the activity level. And this presents the budget. It presents the budget, but also what the budget is paying for. So the means, the resources, the people, the expertise, and so on. And so what we have in a single document is the project. It captures all of the narrative in activities which produce positive outcomes, which will lead to impact. And the matrix itself is a requirement for all major international donor organizations. Thank you for this brief overview of the logical framework. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please look at the other videos in this series.